Hello there, everybody. This is the explanation for the fourth math problem up in the Math No Calculator section of my website's shortened SAT diagnostic test. Let's get right to it. It says, in the system of linear equations above, what's the value of 4c minus 4d? So I just want to make note that yes, they do call two simple little equations a system. They call it a system. There's just two, but they call it a system. Let's not be confused by that. I think of systems as being much more elaborate than that. Gears and chains and clocks and bells and whistles, that's a system. Not two little equations, but they call it a system. Are they trying to confuse us? They might be. But now we know when they say the system of equations, it's just two little equations. All right. In the system of linear equations above, what's the value of 4c minus 4d? Now, you know we have got to box, underline, star, circle, whatever you want, what they are asking for, because you know you're going to come up with either a c or either a d or a c minus a d, and they're going to have that answer waiting for you, that trap answer. So at the very end of the day, whenever we get there, we're going to find out what 4c minus 4d is. All right, now how do we even get started? Well, here are the out of the gate moves for systems of equations. They are the following. Number one, we can either stack them one on top of each other as they are now when they have the exact same format. I've got C terms, I've got D terms, and I've got numbers. Same formats in both equations. I can put them one on top of the other, and I can either add them together or subtract them. Primarily adding. Almost always on the SAT math, I add the equations together. I can't remember the last time when I subtracted, but be ready to do it. That is one method. Let's do it and see what we get, because that's really the first move. More often than not, you stack them and you add them. Okay, so how do we add these together? Well, the first thing is we have to make sure that all the similar terms are right on top of each other. I've got all the C's stacked up, I got all the D's stacked up, and I got all the numbers stacked up. And all I do is I add straight down. What's 2c plus 6c? 8c. So I've got 8c. What's 3d plus 5d? 8d. And what's 17 plus 39? No calculator. 40 and 16 is 56. Now, I sort of like what I got going here. I'm looking for a c with a 4 next to it and a d with a 4 next to it. I got a C with an 8 and a D with an 8. Those are factors of 4. It looks like I got something going. The big problem, I've got a negative here and a plus here. That's going to be real hard to change that around. Just keep that in mind. If this were a negative or if this were a positive, I got something here. I could divide everything by 2 and boom, I've got 4C plus 4D. Can't do that here because of this operation that's different. Okay. So while this was a good attempt, we're going to abort this attempt. And now we're going to do the second way to find out what the value of the variables are when we have a system of equations. What we're going to do is we're going to isolate one of these variables. Let's just isolate C. And what that means is we're going to work through simple algebra to get only one C on the left side of the equation. So I have here 2c plus 3d equals 17. I got to get rid of that d term. I got to get it on the other side. So I'm going to subtract 3d from both sides. That's going to give me 2c. If I do 3d minus 3d, that's going to go away. And I'm going to have equals 17. And I'm subtracting it from the right side. Remember in algebra, whatever I do to one side of the equation, I've got to do to the other side of the equation. If I'm subtracting 3d from the left, I've got to subtract it from the right, minus 3d. Now, remember, I've got to get my c alone. So c is going to equal, and I can already tell because I'm divided by 2, c equals 17 over 2 minus 3d over 2. When I have two terms separated by a plus or a minus, I've got to do my divisions for both of them. I don't like that. That's very complicated because what I'm going to have to do now is substitute this back into one of these equations, every time I see a C, I got to put in that crazy thing. I'm not liking that. Second attempt, that's okay. You got to keep going at it. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to combine both methods. Let's go back to adding them. 8C plus 8D equals 56. Well, let's say I divided everything by 8 because I just want something simple on the left side. We're going to divide everything by 8. Okay, what are we going to get? These cancel out. I'm going to get C. These cancel out, plus D. And what's 56 divided by 8? It is 7. So now I have something much simpler. C plus D equals 7. Now I can isolate my C. I'm going to get something simpler. So C is going to equal 7. I've got to subtract D from both sides, minus D. Now I can take 7 minus D and plug it back in for this C right here. Okay, I'm going to do it down here. So 2 times, so everywhere I see a C, I've got to put 7 minus D. 2 times 7 minus D plus 3D equals 17. Now I've only got D's in numbers. I can solve for D. First, I'm going to distribute my 2 to everything in the parentheses. 14 minus 2D plus 3D equals 17. I'm going to move through this a little bit quickly. If this confuses you, get in touch with me about reviewing your fundamental algebra. Combine like terms. 14 minus 2D plus 3D just leaves me with a D. 14 plus D equals 17. And D, I'm going to subtract 14 from both sides. D equals 3. I've got one of my letters. Now I can just go back up into this one right here. Ooh, right there. Well, it says C plus D is 7. If D is 3, what is C? Come on, everybody, shout it out. C is 4. C is 4. Now I've got my 2 letters. I barely have any room left to write, but we're going to do it right here. Go right here. This is what you're going to have to do in your SAT test. You only have your workspace right here. This is what it should look like, so get used to it. What am I trying to figure out? 4C minus 4D. Well, what's C? Is 4. So 4 times 4 minus 4 times D, 3. What does that equal? 16 minus 12, and that equals 4. Do I have a 4? Yes, I do. The answer is C. Was that helpful? Did that clear it up? I hope so. If not, you know what to do. Write, text, email, smoke signals, carrier pigeon. Get in touch with me. I'll help you out. All right? See you the next time. Bye-bye.